Suburban Gardening. Hey y'all, my name is Cora and I am here at my home in Zone 7B in North Carolina at Sun Cherry Farm. Today I wanted to share with you a garden tour to not only help you, but to also help me to use this as a journal so that I can look back every year and see where I was at and what I can improve on, and hopefully also at the same time help you. Today's date is May the 12th, 2021, and I'm going to take you on a tour of my farm. It's just a small backyard suburban area in North Carolina that I'm on a little more than a half of an acre, and we have to use what we have at the season in our life and the conditions that we have. And when I say conditions, I mean the land that we have at this time in our life, to those of us that are gardeners to actually plant what we can plant with the amount of resources that we have. So we're going to start with this tour and hopefully you will enjoy it. I am going to start with this area because when I first bought this house back in 1998, this was the first area that I actually planted a garden. It was here at the end of this building before I had chickens. So after I built the chicken coop in 2004, 2005, then I had to extend the garden down to this area. This area is really fertile. I have always taken the compost out of the chicken coop at the end of the summer season and put it on the garden here. But I have each year also additionally added a garden blend and compost from a local earth farm that has organic soil. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this garden. Here I bought this plant. I think I bought it at a local Lowe's. This is the first time I've actually grown. It's spaghetti squash, and it is an heirloom squash, and it's by Bonnie. And I think I got 4 of those plants, and there was actually 2 in this pod, so I planted 2 there, and then on the other side of the water barrels there's 2 also. The squash that you see here up under the trellis, there's 4 of them. I'm not really sure. I have planted a straight neck and a crooked neck and then some zucchini. So I didn't label those, so I'm not really sure which is which, but there's 4 plants here total. And after I planted them, I had a friend come over and they said, "Why did you plant those beneath the trellis?" And I was like, well, I was trying to do the 3 sisters gardening, because also in these 2 rows on each side of the trellis, I planted Blue Lake pole beans, and on one side there's candy corn, and on the other side it is peaches and cream corn. So I was thinking of having a 3 sisters, but then after my friend said that to me, I was like, oh no. He said it's going to grow up on each side and it's going to block out the sun on your squash. So that is one thing that I have learned this year, not to do that. I did not want to take them up and replant them somewhere else in fear of them getting shocked. So I will say that that is one mistake, and we'll see what happens towards the middle to end of the growing season to see what actually, if they actually produce. But they already have flowers on them, which of course, nothing right now is blocking the sun from them. And one other thing I wanted to point out here is I planted the Blue Lake pole beans down on this end also, but if you notice, there's only a few plants that had came up, with it being one there and one there. But then when you get further down, the green beans, they came up better on this end. So I'm not really sure what happened there. So hopefully either those will produce good, or maybe some more will come up down on that end. Not really sure, but we'll see how it goes further on in the season. This is the first year that I have actually had the cattle panel up here. Before I did have the T-post, but I had more along the lines of the hog wire. And what happened is the hog wire was actually too tall for the T-post. So this year I decided to buy the cattle panel. And there is a couple reasons why I decided to go with the cattle panel, and I'll let you know that a little bit later in the video. Here in this raised bed, I'm actually going to give you a little bit of background on this bed. What happened is I had seen someone else make raised beds with the wood from a sawmill like this. This is where they cut off the outside of the actual tree, and a local lumber company actually burns those if nobody comes and gets them. So when I first found out about it, I went by and I asked them, you know, if I could purchase some of them, and they said, no, you can have them for free because we just burn them. So I, loaded some up on my trailer and brought them home, bought some 4x4s, and had a friend actually help me to assemble it. And I plan to put more layers around the top. I have actually, like 2 years, have now added soil to this every year for the past 2 years. And if I could say one thing that was an error in making this bed, is this one is too wide. I should have made it a 4 by whatever length. And this one here is not necessarily too narrow, but I think that I should have went more to 4 feet wide on this one. So, I learned from my errors. Maybe, someone watching this video, if they're planning on making a bed, then a raised bed, then maybe, they will adhere to the 4 by whatever. A lot of people do either a 4x4 or a 4x8 or a 4x12. I think this one's more like a 4x16 or maybe even a 4x17. The length, I think the length is fine. I do have a couple more beds that I have actually put those together last fall, and then this spring. The one on the right is last fall, and then the one on the left was completed this spring, which I'm going to do I'm going to make some adjustments on those also. But going back to this bed, I think the first year I made it, I put soil in it. This may be the 3rd year. Mora, get out of the bed. This is my dog, Mora. She is a miniature schnauzer, but we don't have her cut as a miniature schnauzer. We actually shave her in the spring and summertime because it's much cooler for her. But she's been with us since 2012. I purchased her when she was just 6 weeks old. But anyway, so this bed I created, I think it was 3 years ago. So I have put soil in it 3 years now. And at the very beginning, I tilled it. I tilled this whole area before I put the beds in. But then when I put the bed in, I think I tilled it for like maybe a couple years, and then I added soil from, like I said, the local Earth Farms organic composting. And then again this year I added more. I did not till it this year. I think I might have tilled it 2 years ago, but that's the last time I tilled it. So I'm trying to go with the no dig method. and just add compost or a garden blend soil every year. So yeah, like I said, hopefully next year or maybe even this fall, I'll add another layer of the wood on each side and put another probably 2 yards of soil will fit in this bed. 2 to 2.5, somewhere around in there. And then that's what my plan is to do on this one also. But to go back to this bed, this year I think what I have planted in here is on the far right hand side, and I'm going to point. So starting here all the way down is, I think, Crowder peas, because I had ordered some packets from Baker Creek, and the reason I ordered them from Baker Creek is a few of the YouTubers that I watch, they highly recommend Baker Creek Seed Company. So I purchased the Crowder peas, the Lincoln peas, and some green peas. And if I'm not mistaken, those are the Crowder peas. The Lincoln peas, the green peas, they did not make it because I planted them over next to the chicken coop, hoping that they would climb up the chicken fence. But I guess I planted them a little bit too close, because if you see that chicken there, that's what they did. They pecked them up as soon as they turned green and started growing, and they were growing really good too. So that is another mistake that I made. And I'm thinking next season, before I plant peas again over there, I'm going to put a different fencing along the bottom to where the chickens can actually get their head through. So anyway, going back to this garden, the frost we had 2 frosts. One was the end of March, and I was out of town to one of my daughter's volleyball games or tournaments, and I did not have the opportunity to put covering over those peas, so they have not done well. I'm trying to figure out the proper time for me to plant the peas and some other things that are in this bed that we'll go over momentarily, to where I get a better production of, those types of vegetables. And so beside of those, recently I planted the green bell peppers. They're actually called California Wonders, and I have 5 of those in this bed. May have, and those were from seeds that I purchased at a local seed and feed store, and I transplanted those like maybe 2 weeks ago. Our last frost date here was supposed to be April the 15th, and we had one more frost date after that, but it was after that I planted those green bell peppers, the California Wonders. Directly down the middle where the 2 sprinklers are, I didn't plant anything. I can't really reach the middle. That is one of the reasons I would not make a bed this wide again. So to the left of the hose, you will see that it's purple on this end, and on the other end it's green. Those were stunted also by the frost that we got at the end of April, because I was not here to put covering over the bed. The second frost that we did have after April the 15th, I was able to put covers over all of everything. So those are they're finally starting to come up. Those are actually, it's purple bok choy on this end and a green bok choy on the other end. I will try my best to maybe see if I can add a picture of those seed packets. Those did come from Baker Creek Seed Company. And then to the left of those, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's broccoli. And again, that's one of the things I've got to figure out, when is the best time for me to plant, because evidently none of the items that I just mentioned, other than the California Wonder, green bell peppers, everything else in this bed was not planted at the right time, except for these pole beans. And I will also try to edit in some packets, the packets where I had purchased these pole beans. I purchased those also from Baker Creek Seed Company. And my idea on these, I just planted them like last week, maybe a week and a half ago. But they are doing great. My idea of this is for them to go up and over the trellis. When I was about to plant those, I had 4 different kinds, and I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but I will get those seed packets and show you those. But my thought at first was to put one kind here and then another kind on the other one at that end, and then on this side a different kind, and then on the other side down there a different kind. But that's not what I did. Anyway, what I decided to do was take the 4 different kinds and plant, like every 3 inches, I planted a seed of each different kind. And then when I talked with another friend of mine, she was like, do you not think they're going to cross-pollinate? I don't know if you can see those through my garlic or not, but so that was after the fact, after I planted them. So I was like, I did not think about that. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen here, but we will find out. They are coming up great. I can't wait to see them climb over the trellis. I will tell you that each one has a different color flower on it. One's pink, one's white, and one's red, and the other is a purple potted pole bean. So, and like I said, they all come from Baker Creek, and I will eventually try to get that in this video so that you can see what kind they are. And hopefully when I do garden tours later on, we'll see what happens as far as the cross-pollination and how they climb up over the trellis. So this is my first year having these trellises also, and there is like I was telling you about that cattle panel as a trellis. The idea, I actually got this idea of doing these trellises from a couple of other YouTubers that I watch, and one is Jess and Maya from Roots and Refuge Farm, and another is Living Traditions, and then I can't remember if Charles Dowding, he may use those. I can't really remember right off the top of my head right now. I watch a lot of his videos also, but he does a lot of the no-dig gardening. But I'm really looking forward to being able to have the pole beans climb over these trellises. And I think that I have 2 grandchildren, and I know that my grandson, he would probably love to come over and just go through them. I didn't put one of the trellises in the middle. I left that area open. I just have it on each end. So we'll see how it goes this year, and I may end up putting another trellis in the middle, or I may just leave it open. This year I decided to leave it open because I have one little area right here where I planted some okra. So I'm going to see how that does. The sun, it should be able to get plenty of sun with that area open in the middle. There's no trellis there. So in this bed, we already talked about me having some of the pole beans at the trellises, but the rest of this is garlic, and I purchased those online and I planted them in September. I think I probably got them sometime in late August, and I planted them by September the 20th, and they have done great. I'm looking forward to harvesting those at the end of June, probably 1st of July. Of course, I'll dig around them and make sure that that the bulbs are big enough at that time. And also, there's another YouTuber that I watch, Hollis and Nancy, and I have learned from his station, or his YouTube channel, that the time to actually pull up the garlic if you can see the yellowing, and it's specifically like there at the bottom where it's starting to yellow, the first few layers on the bottom have to completely turn yellow and lay down like that before it's time to actually harvest. So looking forward to that. And I'll try to look back at my receipt and find out exactly where it was that I purchased these from, because it's the name of the company is not coming to the top of my head at the moment. So but anyway, that is those two beds and that trellis there. And like I said, this is like the first area that I've always planted. And then this here is an old wheelbarrow, and there's another YouTuber that I watch who is actually local to me. She owns a nursery, and she had planted flowers in hers, and I was like, wow, I have that old wheelbarrow that I can plant my herbs in. So in this wheelbarrow I have here I have some Greek oregano, and that is by Bonnie. I actually purchased that this year and put that in here. And then I have some sweet basil. Both of these are sweet basil, and they're by Bonnie. And I bought those at Lowe's this year and put those in there. But both the rosemary and the thyme, I bought these from that local nursery. And this one is actually flowered. Still smells really good. I can probably cut some of that off and let it dry, and then get the bottom layers where there's not flowers. And then if anyone knows if there's something that I can do with the flowers, if you'll just post a comment, I'll look at those later and see what it is that I can actually do with that. But then this rosemary, it smells so good also. But it looks like, I guess that's seeds right there. I'm not really sure. I am still learning so much myself, and I will probably one day go back and look at this video and say, wow, if I only knew. But anyway, it's falling down. If it seeds, it will, I guess I'll have some more rosemary growing right there. I also wanted to tell you one other thing about this bed. Used to I plowed like the whole area, but last year I had that tree trimmed in my front yard in the fall, and then I had the arborist drop the mulch over on the other side of the bed. And then there's another YouTuber that I watch, and he's from Jersey, and then there's also the Back to Eden way of gardening, where they put mulch in between their rows. So that's the reason I have all this mulch here. This is my first season planting with the mulch in the rows, which it really doesn't matter with it being like in between this row here. But like here, I planted, this is my seedling. Actually, I just planted straight up seed there. That one is a straight neck squash, and there's another one there that hasn't come up. And then on the other side, there is crooked neck. And then on the end of the garlic, there's a zucchini that has not come up either. So today's temperature is 50. It was supposed to be 54. It rained a nice soft rain this morning, so everything is real wet. But I'm hoping within the next week I'll see those come up in the other holes that are not showing yet. And if not, then I'll just put another seed there in each of those spots. I did want to say here, I have planted a couple of rows of sunflowers, and they're different kinds. So I'm very eager and awaiting to see those come up. I mean, they are already peeking through, but I bought those seed packets at either an Ace Hardware, or I think I bought those at Ace Hardware. So I'm waiting for those to come up. But I had some that were very beautiful last year, and maybe I can post some pictures of those. I'll go up here before I go down to that latter part. Here I have, this is a perennial that will come back year after year. Hopefully those will continue. I see a few spots on those where something's been getting them. There's some holes. And then on this side, those are to help with the pollinators. And this side I have a butterfly bush to help with pollination. I also planted some sunflower seeds in here. Here I have a raspberry bush, and it's doing pretty good. This one was in the same packet. It's not doing as good, so hopefully those will come along nicely here in the next year or so. Here I have a fig tree, and it's budding pretty good. I usually have a lot of figs on this tree. I've cut it back some this year so that I could get down past this area to haul in some garden blend and some compost into my garden. And here I have a composter. I have used it and took the soil out of it a couple times. I need to use it more. That is a plan this year. And on this side I have a little rabbit that I bought from a co-worker, and to my surprise she has 3 baby bunnies. And on inside the chicken coop there's another rabbit cage that has her mate in it. That was supposed to be another girl, but to my surprise it was a boy. That's the reason we have some baby bunnies. So I'm going to go through this area fairly quick because I don't want to make this video too long, because I just don't want to make it to where people don't want to watch the whole thing all the way through. Here I have my own seedling plants from tomatoes. That one there is a money maker. That one there is a German Johnson. That one is a Glacier, and that's another money maker. And this one here is by Bonnie. Well, the next 4 are by Bonnie. This one's a Big Beef. This one is a Celebrity. This one is an Early Girl, and this one is a Big Boy. The reason I did the different varieties is because, number one, I wanted to see which one was the best variety that I liked, and which one was along with that, but besides being the best flavor, being the best producer. And then on the other 2 hills past that, I have red potatoes in this one on the left, and then on the right is a Kennebec potato, which is a white potato. That there is a cherry tree, and this here is sweet potatoes. I wanted to plant some sweet potatoes this year, and I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to do it, so I ended up putting 2 plants in this pot because I did see on Hollis and Nancy where they had put some in pots and they did pretty good, so I wanted to try that. And like I said, this year is the first year for this raised garden bed, and I planted 2 types of asparagus. On the left hand side, which you can see they go anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches to 4 inches to 5 inches up to about 18 inches tall. Those are Jersey Giants. They're doing awesome. I am so pleased. I just put those in the ground maybe 3 weeks ago to a month. The ones on the right, they're not coming up. I think I'm going to put a little bit more soil on them. They're called Best asparagus. I got both of them from Gurney's, and they came at the same time. I planted them at the same time. It's just the Jersey Best were the ones coming up. Actually, when I received the Jersey Best, they had a little white root coming off the top of them, or asparagus. A little white asparagus coming off the top of the roots, the crowns. And like I said, I wish I had bought all Jersey Giants. I'm hoping that the Best is going to just next year just pop up just like these have. So we'll have to wait and see. On this side, I have this is actually, this pot had, it was one like a 3, I don't know exactly what size it was. I think it's like, it wasn't a gallon, but it was a one smaller. It's a couple smaller down than that. But it's icebox watermelon. Sorry, but my phone died, so I had to go back inside and charge it up a little bit so that I could come back out here and finish up with my garden tour. I had gotten to the watermelons, so I will go back to that spot, and hopefully it won't get dark on me while I'm out here. So yeah, I had planted watermelon, and it's actually several watermelons in the seedlings in the one container, and so they're doing great. I'm planning on hopefully spreading them out across the front of these beds. This one long bed, actually, the two raised beds, and then the one long area. But they're doing great, and like I was saying, it is Bonnie's iced watermelon. It's an heirloom sugar baby, and I seem to like those better than the bigger ones, because with just me and my two daughters, we don't eat you know, a big watermelon all at one time, although we could cut it up and put it in the refrigerator. But then here in this spot, I have planted, I think, like 3 seeds in each spot of cantaloupe. Don't remember the exact kind right now, so I'll have to look at the seed packet for that. I had also got it at the local feed store, seed and feed store in one of the local towns. This here is my onion raised bed. Me and my two daughters planted the bulbs in it like few months ago anyway. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 rows in here, and I don't remember which side is which, but on one side we have sweet onions. Then beside it, I think it's on the right side, we have sweet onions, and then 2 rows, and then like I think 4 rows of red onions, and then 2 rows of white, and then 2 rows of yellow. So the sweet onions are different from the yellow onions. So I had seen on a couple of different YouTubers channels that if you take and do what they call spooning around the actual bulb, then that's what makes the bulb get bigger. So I have done it several times. Well, not several times, I shouldn't say that. I've come out several times and went around different ones each time, but I need to come out and go around them again, so that because where the rain has sort of put the dirt back down around the bulb. But this spooning will help the bulbs to get bigger. So that's what actually helps the bulbs get bigger. If you don't do the spooning around them, the onion will actually just be a green onion, and it will be longer. So, and I did put 2 sweet potatoes in here, because for whatever reason, these two, the bulbs in this line did not come all the way down. So hopefully I'll be pulling up the onions way in advance before I pull up before it's time for the sweet potatoes to come up. And also, I don't know if it was just this end, because these have not gotten as big as all of the other ones. This bed has really done good. This is the first year me planting this bed, because like I said, I built this bed in the fall of last year. So, and then I put more of the wood chips from the tree that we cut down in the front yard along here, and I put probably close to 8 inches. So I'm just going to briefly talk about this area over here. I have an apple tree. It is yellow delicious, and then I have 3, I believe it's 3 different kinds of grapevines. If I find out that's different, I'll come back. I think one of them is actually muscadine, and then there's a grapevine. And then this was a volunteer peach tree that come up from a seed that had dropped off of an old peach tree. So I transplanted it there, and I may not get anything off of it this year. Last year it had a lot of peaches on it, but they just fell to the ground before they even got to ripen, way before they even got big at all. So here, I'll just show you this one area, because it is the last little area that I have. I have thornless blackberries here. along with some banana plants. And last year I got quite a few blackberries off of here. I appreciate you watching my first garden tour. I hope that you like it. If you do, if you would just please hit the like button and maybe subscribe, and then that way you can, and if you do the little bell, it'll alert you when I've posted another video. I'm going to try to do a weekly garden tour. That way you can see my progression, and I can possibly use this as a journal for the years to come and to figure out what I need to change from year to year, depending on the harvest. So, but again, I appreciate you watching, and may you always have a blessed garden with a bountiful harvest.